Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the ESS Hawking, watching the unfamiliar stars drift by in mesmerizing patterns. After 15 years of deep space exploration, she thought she'd grown accustomed to the sight of unknown constellations. But this region of space, over 300,000 light-years from Earth, felt different. The stars here seemed older, their light carrying the weight of untold eons. "Commander," Dr. Marcus Rivera's voice crackled through the ship's comm system. "You need to see this." The urgency in his tone made Sarah's pulse quicken. Marcus wasn't one for drama. As the ship's lead xenorchaeologist, he'd cultivated a reputation for being methodical to the point of tedium. If something had him excited, it was worth paying attention to. "On my way," she replied, already moving toward the science lab. The Hawking's corridors were quiet, most of the 100-person crew sleeping during the ship's artificial night cycle. Their footsteps echoed against the metallic floors, a constant reminder of their isolation in the vast expanse of space. The science lab was a chaos of holographic displays and floating data streams when Sarah arrived. Marcus stood in the center, his dark eyes fixed on a particular set of readings that pulsed with an angry red glow. "What am I looking at?" Sarah asked, studying the complex patterns that scrolled across the screens. Marcus manipulated the holographic display with practiced gestures, expanding a particular waveform. "We picked this up about an hour ago. At first, I thought it was just background radiation, but look at the pattern." Sarah leaned closer, her eyes narrowing as she studied the seemingly random spikes and valleys in the data. Then she saw it, a rhythm, a deliberate sequence that couldn't be natural. "It's a signal." "Not just any signal," Marcus said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "It's using quantum entanglement protocols. The same ones we developed on Earth 50 years ago." Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. They were hundreds of thousands of light years from Earth, in a region of space that humanity had never visited before. Finding any artificial signal out here would be extraordinary. Finding one using human technology was impossible. "Could it be a glitch?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Marcus would have checked and double-checked before calling her. He shook his head. "I've run every diagnostic we have. This is real, Commander. Someone out here is using human technology. Technology that shouldn't exist anywhere except back home." Sarah straightened, her mind racing through the implications. In the century since humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel, they'd encountered dozens of alien civilizations. Some were friendly, some weren't, but all of them were fundamentally different from humans in their approach to technology. Human quantum protocols were unique. They were like a technological fingerprint. "Have you traced the source?" she asked. Marcus nodded, pulling up a star chart. A red marker pulsed in the darkness, impossibly far from any known human settlement. "It's coming from there, about 20 light-years from our current position." Sarah studied the location, noting that it sat at the edge of a dense cluster of ancient stars. Any signs of civilization in that region? "That's the other thing," Marcus said, pulling up another set of readings. "We're detecting massive energy signatures. Whatever's out there, it's big, really big. Like consuming the energy output of multiple stars big." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. In all their exploration, humanity had never encountered anything operating on that scale. The most advanced alien civilizations they'd met were Type II on the Kardashev scale, capable of harnessing the energy of a single star. This was something else entirely. "Wake up the senior staff," she ordered, her decision already made. "And get me a secure channel to Earth Command. They need to know about this." As Marcus hurried to comply, Sarah turned back to the signal data. The regular pulses seemed to mock her with their familiarity, like finding your own footprints on a beach you'd never visited. "What are you?" she whispered to the empty air. "And how do you know our secrets?" The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Earth Command's response was immediate and unprecedented. Full authorization to investigate, with zero restrictions. Sarah had never seen them move so quickly. Usually, any deviation from a planned exploration route required weeks of debate and mountains of paperwork. This time, they simply said go. The senior staff gathered in the briefing room, their faces showing varying degrees of excitement and concern. Dr. Helena Wong, their chief physicist, was practically vibrating with enthusiasm as she reviewed the signal data. Captain James Martinez, head of security, looked like he'd swallowed something unpleasant. "Let's be clear about what we're dealing with," Sarah began, silencing the murmured conversations. "We've detected what appears to be human technology in a region of space where humans have never been. Not only that, but it's associated with energy signatures that dwarf anything we've ever encountered." Questions. "Could it be the Arcturus Collective?" Martins asked, referring to one of the more advanced alien civilizations they'd encountered. "They've been known to copy human technology." Helena shook her head. "No way. The Arcturians are good, but they've never managed to replicate our quantum protocols exactly. This signal is perfect, down to the last decimal point. It's like finding an exact copy of your DNA in a stranger." "Which leaves us with two possibilities," Sarah continued. "Either we're not the first humans to reach this region of space, or someone wants us to think they're human." Martinez finished grimly. The room fell silent as they contemplated the implications. Either possibility was equally disturbing. If humans had reached this region before, why wasn't there any record of it? And if it wasn't humans, who would go to such lengths to imitate their technology? "We'll reach the source in approximately 48 hours, Sarah said, breaking the tense silence. "I want all departments at full readiness. Helena, keep monitoring that signal. If anything changes, I want to know immediately. Martinez, run battle drills with security. I hope we won't need them, but let's be prepared." Dismissed. As the others filed out, Marcus lingered. "Commander," he said quietly, "there's something else. Something I didn't want to mention in front of the others until I was sure." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "The signal. It's not just using our protocols. It's repeating a specific sequence, a message." He pulled up a data pad, showing her the decoded pattern. Sarah read it once, then again, her hands gripping the edge of the table. The message was simple, just 5 words, but they made her blood run cold. "Come home, children of Earth." The massive structure looming before the ESS Hawking defied explanation. It was a perfect sphere, roughly the size of Earth's moon, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. But what truly captured the crew's attention were the enormous energy collectors extending from its equator, massive constructs that appeared to be drawing power directly from the nearby stars. "My God," Helena whispered, her instruments struggling to process the readings. "It's absorbing the energy equivalent of 3 solar masses every second. But where's it all going?" Sarah stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back as she studied the impossible object. They'd dropped out of FTL 20 minutes ago, and she still couldn't quite believe what they were seeing. The signal that had led them here was stronger now, emanating from somewhere within the sphere. "Any response to our hails?" she asked the communications officer. "Nothing direct, Commander," Lieutenant Park replied. "But the signal changed as soon as we arrived. Well, you should see this." The main view screen shifted to show a new data stream. The quantum signature was the same, but now it was transmitting what appeared to be coordinates, a specific location on the sphere's surface. "An invitation," Martins muttered from his security station. "Or a trap." Sarah understood his concern. In their years of space exploration, humanity had learned that not every alien civilization welcomed their presence. Some saw humans as potential rivals, others as mere curiosities to be studied. A few had proven outright hostile. "Dr. Wong," Sarah called, "what can you tell me about the structure's composition?" Helena's fingers flew over her console. "It's unlike anything in our database, Commander. The surface appears to be some kind of programmable matter." similar to our nanomaterials but orders of magnitude more advanced. And there's something else. She paused, double-checking her readings. I'm detecting trace elements that match Earth's isotopic ratios perfectly. A murmur ran through the bridge crew. Earth's specific blend of isotopes was like a fingerprint, unique to their home world. Finding those exact ratios here, hundreds of thousands of light-years away, couldn't be coincidence. Commander, Marcus called from his station, excitement evident in his voice. I'm detecting an opening forming at the coordinates we received. It looks like a docking port. Sarah watched as a section of the sphere's flowing surface reconfigured itself, creating a perfectly sized berth for the Hawking. The design was eerily familiar. It matched standard human docking specifications exactly. Security team to Shuttle Bay 1. Sarah ordered after a moment's consideration. Dr. Rivera, Dr. Wong, you're with me. Martinez, you have the bridge. If anything goes wrong, I'll blast us a path out of here and run all the way back to Earth. Martinez finished grimly. But please don't make me explain to Command how I lost their best deep space commander. Sarah managed a small smile. No promises. The shuttle ride to the sphere was tense. Sarah sat in the cockpit with Helena and Marcus, watching as the massive structure grew to fill their entire view. The docking port guided them in with a precision that spoke of advanced automation, connecting with their airlock using standard human protocols. Ready? Sarah asked her team as they prepared to board. The security detail, 4 of Martinez's best people, checked their weapons one final time and nodded. The airlock cycled, and they stepped into what should have been alien territory. Instead, they found themselves in a corridor that could have been lifted directly from a human space station. The lighting, the atmospheric composition, even the artificial gravity. It was all perfectly calibrated for human comfort. This is impossible, Helena muttered, scanning everything with her instruments. This technology is centuries beyond us, but it's designed specifically for human use. It's like someone built this place expecting us to find it. They followed the corridor deeper into the structure. At regular intervals, they passed what appeared to be data terminals, their displays dark, but their designs unmistakably based on human ergonomics. Commander, one of the security officers called out. There's something up ahead. The corridor opened into a vast circular chamber. The walls were covered in the same flowing patterns they'd seen on the sphere's exterior, but here they seemed more active, more purposeful. In the center of the room stood a simple pedestal with what looked like a handprint scanner on top. Marcus approached it cautiously, his instruments working overtime. The quantum signal is coming from this room, he reported. And this device, it appears to be some kind of interface. Sarah studied the pedestal. Everything about this place screamed that it was meant for humans to find, to use. But why? And who had built it? Commander, Helena said softly, the isotopic traces are stronger here. And there's something else. The scanner appears to be designed to read human DNA. Sarah looked at her team, seeing her own mix of excitement and apprehension reflected in their faces. They'd come too far to turn back now. Well, she said, stepping forward, let's not keep our mysterious hosts waiting. She placed her hand on the scanner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the surface beneath her palm grew warm, and the patterns on the walls erupted into brilliant light. A voice filled the chamber, not through speakers, but directly in their minds. Genetic sequence confirmed. Human presence verified. Beginning initialization of the Cradle protocol. The floor beneath them hummed with power as new patterns of light began to spread outward from the pedestal. Above them, a holographic display materialized, showing an image that made them all gasp. A map of the galaxy, but not as they knew it. This map showed thousands of structures like the one they were in, scattered throughout space in a vast network. And at the center of it all was a single pulsing point, marked with a label that made Sarah's heart skip a beat. Origin Point, Humanity Prime. My God, Marcus breathed. This isn't just some ancient alien structure. This is a waypoint, Sarah finished. Part of a network left behind by our ancestors. The voice spoke again, this time with a message that would change human history forever. Welcome, descendants. The path to your birthright is now open. The cradle awaits your return. The news spread faster than anyone could have predicted. Despite Earth Command's attempts to keep the discovery classified, word leaked out through the quantum communications network. Within days, every major civilization in the known galaxy knew that humanity had found something unprecedented. An ancient network of structures that responded only to human DNA. Sarah watched from the Hawkins Bridge as the first wave of alien ships dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. The Arcturus Collective had arrived first, their crystalline vessels refracting starlight in dazzling patterns. Behind them came the biomechanical hives of the swarm Concordat and the impossibly sleek ships of the Veil Dominion. That's the third fleet to arrive in the last hour, Martins reported grimly. We're being surrounded. Sarah nodded, keeping her expression neutral for the crew's benefit. The Hawking was a research vessel, not a warship. If any of these civilizations decided to take aggressive action, there wasn't much they could do to stop them. Commander, Lieutenant Park called from communications. We're receiving simultaneous hails from all three fleets. Put them through, Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform. Split screen. The main view screen divided into three sections, each showing a representative from the newly arrived civilizations. The Arcturian ambassador was a crystalline being that pulsed with internal light. The swarm representative was a living network of neural tissue suspended in a nutrient bath. The veiled diplomat appeared almost human, save for their iridescent skin and totally black eyes. Greetings, Sarah began, using the standard diplomatic protocols. I am Commander Chen of the Earth Science Ship Hawking. We know who you are, the veiled diplomat interrupted, their voice melodious but cold. And we know what you have found. The question is, what do you intend to do with it? The collective believes this discovery should be shared. The Arcturian ambassador chimed in, their crystalline form resonating with each word. Such knowledge could benefit all species. The swarm representative pulsed with agitation. The structures respond only to human genetic patterns. They were clearly meant for humanity alone. But the implications of their existence cannot be ignored. Sarah felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. These were three of the most powerful civilizations in known space, and they were all fixated on what she and her crew had discovered. The wrong word here could spark an interstellar incident. The structure appears to be part of a larger network, she said carefully. We're still analyzing the data we've gathered. Once we understand more, you've already uploaded the coordinates of other network nodes to Earth Command. The veiled diplomat stated. It wasn't a question. Sarah's blood ran cold. That information had been sent through supposedly secure channels. If they knew about that, the network spans the entire galaxy, the Arcturian observed. And beyond. The energy requirements alone suggest technology far beyond anything currently known. If humans are indeed connected to its creators, then humanity's place in the galaxy must be reevaluated. The swarm representative finished. Sarah understood the threat beneath the diplomatic language. Humanity had always been seen as newcomers to the galactic stage, a young species that had achieved faster than light travel relatively recently. But if they were actually descendants of an ancient civilization capable of building something like this, Commander, Helena's voice cut through the tension, pitched low enough that the aliens couldn't hear. The sphere, it's activating again. Sarah glanced at her secondary display and saw new energy patterns coursing through the massive structure. The flowing patterns on its surface had begun moving faster, forming new configurations. Representatives, she said, returning her attention to the diplomatic channel, I suggest we all maintain a safe distance. The structure appears to be. A pulse of energy erupted from the sphere, washing over the Hawking and the alien fleets. For a moment, every system went dark. When power returned, the holographic displays showed something new. a series of coordinates, branching out like a roadmap across the galaxy. The network is awakening, the Arcturian ambassador said, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement. After all this time, all ships, maintain position, Sarah ordered, though she knew the aliens weren't bound to obey her. We don't know what. The Veil ships were already moving, their engines flaring as they oriented toward the nearest set of coordinates. The swarm vessels began shifting formation, and the Arcturian fleet was powering up their drive systems. They're going to race for the other nodes, Martine said quietly. Try to reach them before we do. Sarah watched as the alien fleets began to depart, each choosing the different path through the newly revealed network. The game was on, whether humanity was ready or not. Commander, Marcus called from his station. The data we received. It's not just coordinates. There's a message embedded in the transmission. It's a warning. Sarah turned to him. What kind of warning? It says, the path is open, but you are not alone. What sleeps in the cradle must not wake before its time. Make haste, children of Earth. Others seek what is not theirs to claim. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just in a race to uncover humanity's origins anymore. They were in a race to protect something that their ancestors had gone to enormous lengths to hide. Lieutenant Park, Sarah said, her decision made. Get me a secure channel to Earth Command. Priority 1. As her crew scrambled to action around her, Sarah stared at the coordinates glowing on her display. Somewhere out there, at the end of this cosmic treasure hunt, lay the truth about humanity's origins. And now every major power in the galaxy was racing to find it first. Well, she muttered to herself, no one said first contact would be easy. The Hawking's engines hummed to life as they prepared to join the great race. Whatever waited at the end of this path, Sarah was determined that humanity would be the ones to find it. After all, it was their birthright. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, ancient machines continued to wake, guided by programs written by long-vanished hands, counting down to a moment that had been planned for longer than human civilization had existed. The seventh node was different from the others. While previous structures in the network had been impressive, this one took Sarah's breath away. It wasn't a sphere like the first. It was a massive ring, spanning the distance between two ancient stars, its surface adorned with the same flowing patterns they'd grown familiar with. Energy readings are off the scale, Helena reported, her voice filled with awe. The structure is maintaining a stable wormhole between the two stars, harvesting energy from both simultaneously. The Hawking had arrived ahead of the other races, thanks to a risky shortcut through an unstable nebula. They'd lost contact with Earth Command 3 nodes ago. The quantum network seemed to grow less reliable the deeper they ventured into this ancient system. Any sign of pursuit? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. The alien fleets had split up, each following different paths through the network. But they were all converging on a single destination, the coordinates that every node pointed to as the Cradle. Nothing on long-range sensors, Martines replied. But in this region, that doesn't mean much. The stellar density is playing havoc with our instruments. Sarah nodded. They were deep in the galactic core now, in a region of space so crowded with ancient stars that normal navigation was almost impossible. Only the network's guidance kept them on course. Commander, Marcus called out, his voice tight with excitement. I think you need to see this. The node, it's not just a power station. It's a library. The main screen filled with streams of data as Marcus patched through his findings. Unlike the previous nodes, which had provided only navigational data and cryptic warnings, this one contained actual information. Historical records that stretched back millions of years. It's telling a story, Marcus continued, his fingers flying over his console as he translated. The story of why humanity was relocated. A hush fell over the bridge as the translation appeared on the main screen. The text was accompanied by images that seemed to defy reality. Vast cities that spanned solar systems, machines that rearranged stars like pieces on a game board, and beings that looked almost human but radiated power beyond comprehension. "My God," Helena whispered, "we didn't evolve on Earth at all, did we?" "No," Marcus confirmed, his voice filled with wonder. "According to this, humanity was once one of the most advanced species in the galaxy. We had achieved mastery over matter, energy, even time itself. But something happened, something that forced our ancestors to make an impossible choice. The images shifted, showing a dark force spreading across the galaxy like a cancer. Stars went dark, whole systems vanished, and the grand structures of humanity's civilization began to crumble. They called it the Void Cascade, Marcus read, a weapon developed by someone. The records are unclear, but it was designed to target advanced civilizations, to unravel the very fabric of space-time wherever it found significant technological development. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she watched the historical record unfold. Our ancestors couldn't stop it. They tried. For thousands of years, they fought back. But the cascade adapted, evolved. It learned from every attempt to destroy it. Finally, they realized there was only one way to save our species. The images showed a massive undertaking, the construction of thousands of temporal stasis chambers, each designed to preserve human genetic material and memory engrams. Then came the Great Diaspora, the dispersal of humanity's children across time and space, to worlds where they could evolve again, naturally, without the technology that would attract the cascade's attention. Earth wasn't chosen randomly, Marcus explained. It was carefully selected and terraformed to match our original homeworld. Our ancestors used their last remaining power to send us back, not just in space, but in time. They rewrote history itself, guiding our evolution from primitive beings back to the point where we could understand our heritage. But why? Lieutenant Park asked. Why not just tell us what we were from the beginning? Because of that, Helena said quietly, pointing to a new set of readings. The node's sensors are picking up something at the edge of this system, something that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat as she saw the readings. A void in space, darker than black, was slowly moving toward their position. Around its edges, reality itself seemed to bend and twist. "The cascade," she breathed. "It's still out there, still hunting. And by activating the network, we've drawn its attention," Martinez added grimly. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. The alien races rushing to claim humanity's legacy had no idea what they were about to unleash. If they reached the Cradle first, if they tried to seize its technology. "How long until it reaches us?" she asked. "At current speed. About 6 hours," Helena replied. "But it's accelerating." Sarah straightened in her chair, her decision already made. "Send an emergency broadcast to all ships in range, human and alien. Tell them exactly what we found here. They need to know the danger." "Commander," Martinez interjected, "if we warn them, we lose any advantage we had in reaching the Cradle first. If we don't warn them, we might not have a galaxy left to save." Sarah replied. She turned to Marcus. "Does the library say anything about how to stop the cascade?" Marcus nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on a particular section of text. "Yes, but you're not going to like it. Tell me. According to this, there's only one way to stop it. We have to wake up. All of us. The entire human race has to remember what we once were, all at once. The Cradle isn't just our origin point. It's a key to unlocking our collective memory, our true potential. And if we fail..." Marcus looked up, his face pale. "Then the cascade completes its mission. And this time, there won't be enough of humanity left to start over." The bridge fell silent as the weight of their situation sank in. Somewhere ahead lay the Cradle, holding both humanity's salvation and, potentially, its final doom. Behind them, an ancient weapon was closing in, drawn by the very power they needed to save themselves. And they weren't alone. Other races were converging on their destination, unknowing of the catastrophe they might trigger. Sarah had to find a way to reach the Cradle first, unlock humanity's potential, and stop the cascade, all while preventing an interstellar war. She almost laughed at the impossibility of it all. Then again, according to what they'd just learned, impossible tasks were something of a family tradition. Plot a course to the final coordinates, she ordered, and prepare to broadcast everything we've learned. It's time to remind everyone that some legacies are too dangerous to claim without understanding them first. As the Hawking's engines powered up, Sarah watched the swirling patterns on the node's surface. Somewhere in her DNA lay the memory of what humanity had once been, of what they could be again. She just hoped they could remember in time. The Cradle hung before them like a dream made real, a vast structure that seemed to be made of pure light, its surface a constantly shifting maze of geometric patterns that extended in every direction. It straddled the event horizon of a supermassive black hole at the galaxy's core, drawing impossible amounts of power from the cosmic giant. Multiple contacts dropping out of FTL, Martins reported. The Arcturus fleet is here. Swarm vessels approaching from Vector 3. Veil ships emerging from stealth mode. Sarah watched as the alien armadas took up positions around the Cradle. After receiving the Hawking's warning about the Void Cascade, they had rushed to this point not to claim the prize, but to prevent catastrophe. The enemy they faced couldn't be fought with conventional weapons. It was a cancer in reality itself. Time until Cascade contact, she asked. 30 minutes, Helena replied, her instruments tracking the approaching void. Maybe less. It's moving faster now, like it knows what we found. The combined fleets hung in space, weapons armed but not targeting each other. The revelation of humanity's true history, and the terrible weapon that had forced their regression, had changed everything. Now they faced a choice: retreat and abandon humanity's legacy to the Cascade, or risk everything on a plan that seemed impossible. All ships are standing by, Lieutenant Park announced. They're waiting for our signal. Sarah took a deep breath. The plan they'd developed was audacious, perhaps even insane. But according to the records they'd discovered, it was their only hope. Begin transmission, she ordered. The Hawking's quantum transmitters powered up, broadcasting the genetic key they'd discovered at the first node. The alien fleets added their power to the signal, amplifying it across space and time. On Earth, and every human colony world, people would be receiving the signal, a key to unlock memories buried in their very DNA. The Cradle responded immediately. Its surface began to pulse with increasing intensity, patterns flowing faster and faster until they became a blur of light. At its center, a massive aperture began to open. Energy readings are exceeding all known scales, Helena reported, her voice filled with awe. The structure is drawing power directly from the black hole and redirecting it into some kind of quantum matrix. The Cascade has changed course, Martinez added. It's accelerating directly toward us. Time to impact, 15 minutes. Sarah watched as the void approached, a perfect darkness that consumed light, matter, and space itself. Around it, reality twisted and distorted, unable to maintain coherence in the face of its fundamental wrongness. Commander, Marcus called out, his eyes fixed on his readings. The signal, it's working. Reports coming in from Earth, from all our colonies. People are remembering. Sarah felt it too, a pressure building in her mind, like memories struggling to break free from ancient bonds. Images flashed through her consciousness, cities that sailed through space like ships, machines that could reshape planets with a thought, and powers that even their most advanced current technology couldn't begin to approach. Multiple ships reporting the same phenomenon, Lieutenant Park added. The alien fleets, they're backing away. Their sensors must be showing them what's about to happen. The pressure in Sarah's mind increased. Around her, she could see her crew experiencing the same thing. Generations of buried memories fighting to resurface. The Cradle's light grew brighter, its quantum matrix extending to encompass their ship. Cascade entering final approach, Martins reported, his voice strained as he fought to focus through the flood of returning memories. Impact in 5 minutes. All ships, maintain position, Sarah ordered, though each word was a struggle as her consciousness expanded. We only get one chance at this. The memories were becoming clearer now. She remembered the war against the Cascade, remembered the desperate plan to preserve humanity by hiding it from itself. She remembered what they had once been capable of, and what they needed to become again. 1 minute to impact, Helena whispered. The Cascade loomed before them, a wound in reality that threatened to unmake everything it touched. But as Sarah watched it approach, she felt the last barriers in her mind break down. Understanding flooded through her, not just her own memories, but the collective knowledge of an entire civilization. She knew what to do. Now, she commanded, her voice carrying power that hadn't been heard in the galaxy for millions of years. The cradle erupted with light, pouring energy not just into the Hawking, but into every human connected to the quantum network. Across the galaxy, humanity remembered what they had been, and what they could be again. Sarah felt her consciousness expand beyond the confines of her physical form. Around her, reality itself seemed to bend and reshape according to laws she now remembered learning eons ago. Her crew was transforming too, their bodies and minds evolving in seconds to match the potential encoded in their genes. The Cascade struck, but instead of finding primitive technology it could easily destroy, it met something else. Humanity awakened, wielding powers that transcended normal spacetime. The dark force that had hunted them across millions of years finally faced the enemy it had been created to destroy, in all their restored glory. What followed wasn't really a battle. It was a rewriting of reality itself. The combined power of humanity's awakened potential, channeled through the Cradle's quantum matrix, didn't just stop the Cascade. It unmade it, erasing the weapon from existence across all timelines. When it was over, Sarah opened eyes that could now see far beyond the visible spectrum. Her crew, her people, were changed, not just physically, but fundamentally. They had become what they were always meant to be. The alien fleets hung back in awe as the transformed humans emerged from the Cradle's light. Humanity had not just reclaimed their legacy. They had transcended it. "Orders, Commander?" Martins asked, his voice carrying harmonics that could be heard across multiple dimensions. Sarah smiled, feeling the connection to every awakened human across the galaxy. They were no longer bound by the limitations that had been imposed on them. The universe lay open before them, full of possibilities they were finally ready to explore. "Send word to Earth," she said. Tell them we're finally home. And our journey is just beginning." The Hawking's engines powered up, not with conventional fusion drive, but with energies that could bend space and time to their will. As they prepared to depart, Sarah sent a final message to the watching alien fleets. "Thank you for standing with us. We remember everything now, including why we chose to hide. Power without wisdom leads only to destruction. We won't make that mistake again. The galaxy is big enough for all of us to grow, to learn, to evolve. This time, we'll do it together." As the ship accelerated away from the Cradle, Sarah felt the weight of both history and future pressing on her. Humanity had faced extinction, chosen regression over destruction, and finally found their way back to their true potential. Now they had a second chance, not to rule the galaxy, but to help guide it, to ensure that no species would ever have to face the choice they have faced. The stars beckoned, bright with promise, and this time, humanity was ready to answer their call, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a legacy greater than themselves. The hunt for the Cradle was over. The true journey was about to begin.